This is Marcus. On the request of a person with the first name Alvin and the last name I cannot pronounce, and from another person named Jim Beats on YouTube, I will tell you parts of history that humans, or humanity itself, has not recorded. And I am the only one that remembers. So where should I start? Well, if I go back through the comments, the first guy, Alvin, he brought up a good point by saying most knowledge has been burned in those libraries that it happened to, and yes, he was correct. Or she was correct. I don't know. But after that, I mentioned that those pieces of knowledge, those books, I and 4 other people have saved. And I have those books not in my physical possession, but I have them safely stored away where they cannot be manipulated by human hands ever again. And Alvin also asked, was I there 1,500 years ago to secure it from when they were sacking the libraries and everything like that? And yes, I was there. And as I said, I have had over 3,000 past lives, and that is true. My original name is Marcus E. Celis. And obviously I didn't say that, but if you look that name up on YouTube, I have, I think, no subscribers on that channel, because I don't exactly want any, but, you know, whatever. And I told him, even though you won't believe me, this current life after I die, this would be my 16,000th life. And as I also said, my first life was in the human year 400,000 BC. And after that, he asked me if I can name the other 12 books. And I sadly cannot tell you the name of the other books, because, as I've mentioned, I cannot access the place where they are, because I no longer have the power to access that place. And the place I'm talking about is a pocket dimension. And obviously, that would sound ridiculous, but back in the past, and I mean, you know, way before Jesus was even around, and yes, he did exist, but sadly, even though he was the direct son of the being that humans call God, he also disobeyed God's words, and as a punishment, God disowned and banished Jesus. Therefore, Jesus was, I believe, later killed in a cave a few hundred miles away, because he lost his immortality and all of his powers that he had. And Arvin also asked if, I don't even know if I can say this name or not, Asha Zoester. And yes, as I said, where did I say it? Yes, the god you're referring to was and is currently still around. And where else did you say it? You said, was the god enlightened? Well, yes, gods are enlightened, but Muhammad, yes. Muhammad's nickname, Seal of the Prophets, as I said, was not for show. He was very, very knowledgeable, but also very, very spiritually powerful. He could actually spiritually move things around with his mind because of all the knowledge he knew, of all the knowledge he did know back then. He could levitate. He could not fly around, but he could move slowly without touching the ground. That is a form of flying, I guess. But then I said, where is it? I said the Bible did get this one correct. Yeah, as I said, Jesus was the Son of God until God disowned and banished him. Because God banished him and disowned him because Jesus started to question God's teachings. Oh, and God, or the being that humans call God, or the Christian God, his name is not God. His true name is Valmik. And yes, his true name is Valmik, and I said I would explain. I don't know if it was in this comment thread or another one, but I'll explain anyway, so both of you guys know. Arvin and Jim Beats. Valmik was created in the world that I come from. I come from a world simply called the Forgotten World or the First World. And no, I am not a god. I am a being above God. The true name of me, I guess you could call it, is an ancient celestial. I am the first being. I was the first being to emerge from the darkness that people call the void. And after I emerged, I began to create. Not because I was told to, but because I decided to. And, you know, as trillions and trillions of years has gone by, I could feel that more beings were trying to escape or were trying to leave the void, but they couldn't because they were stuck. And so I helped them leave the void, and many of those beings are gods that people worship. Just like the Indian gods or the Hindu gods, you know, Ashura and all of the other gods. Ashura himself, hopefully I'm saying that name correctly, Ashura himself is very, very powerful. He is slightly weaker than the Christian god Valmik. He is slightly weaker, but only because he was tricked by Valmik to stay in the spiritual space above Earth. Not heaven, but the spiritual space that is currently circulating around the Earth. That is the only reason Ashura, or not Ashura, sorry, Vishnu, that's another one. But, sorry, not Ashura, sorry. Vishnu. That's the reason, only reason Vishnu is slightly weaker than Valmik. But I think I've mentioned either on here or, on another comment thread, because I said I purposely visited heaven before just to see what it was like. And I visited there at the exact time that, or shortly before Eve bit the apple of the tree of, I believe it was knowledge, I believe. Again, it's been so long. I believe it was the tree of knowledge. So, the snake that tempted Eve to bite the apple, that snake was... The snake is a god, and he is the weakest being with the title of God. His name is Zenthor. He is the god of trickery and, I believe, illusion. And after Zenthor tricked Eve, because Lucifer, Lucifer being an archangel, whenever he would visit the humans on Earth, or whenever he would go to Earth, he would use the form as a serpent. So God, I'm very surprised, or Valmik I should say, I'm very surprised, being that Valmik should know everything, him being an omnipresent, omnipotent God. I'm surprised he did not know that that snake that tempted Eve was Zenthor and not Lucifer. But apparently Valmik did not know that, so he had Michael banish Lucifer. And shortly before that, I showed, because all angels have no free will of their own, and they need to follow God's orders, or Valmik's orders. Doesn't matter what it is, they follow it. But I could tell that Lucifer's soul was cracking, it was breaking. So I showed Lucifer how to break free from God's will. And after I did that, he saw, right after I did that, that's when God had Michael banish Lucifer to hell. And here's where it gets interesting. So, shortly after that, I purposely waited. I left heaven because I didn't like it there. Heaven's a prison. But I left there and maybe waited a few million years, and then I went to hell purposely to visit Lucifer. And obviously he was pissed. Lucifer was upset as hell. But everybody keeps saying that the devil makes them do bad things and, oh, Satan does this, and no. People have free will, or they should have free will. But here's the truth about it. When Valmik, I'm doing air quotes, when Valmik, aka God, gave humans free will, he did not fully give humans free will. Every single human that is in some type of, well, Valmic, any human that is in Christian or what is the other one? Either Christianity or the other one. I don't remember what the other one's called, but where they worship God, in any religion where humans worship the being called God, God slash Valmic, he has the ability to control them, control what they say, control what they do, control everything about them. But to specific certain people, he cannot do that to, because me in this life, I have broken free from Valmic's control. I have broken free 4 people. And when I showed them so much in astral projection, when they came back, when they woke up from it, well, they weren't sleeping, but I told them sleeping is the best way to do it. When they woke up from it, they realized that I'm telling the truth. I know what I'm talking about, and I know because they've seen it. Obviously, you can't go to heaven in astral projection because it's blocked off. Valmic purposely did that. Okay, so I'll get back to, or I'll go to this now, because I told, where was it? I believe, and I'll just say this. I told Jim Beats, never call me a god. I never want to be someone as horrible as him. And Jim Beats also asked, tell me the name of the books. The same books that Alvin was talking about. Again, I don't remember the names of any of them. But both to Alvin and Jim, I can tell you several of the names of the books that were in the Library of Alexandria. Well, as you know, well, you probably don't know, the library was insanely massive. Now, I guarantee history did not record this fact, because what I'm telling you now, history did not record this. The Library of Alexandria, again, was immense, but it had many, many secrets that I put in place because I was one of the creators of the library. I'm not the sole creator. There was 5 people that created the library. I was one of them. A very, very good friend of mine back then was another. My friend's brother, my friend's brother's sister, and then a person I considered a father. We all got together and created the Library of Alexandria. The reason it's called the Library of Alexandria is Alexandria was my brother's sister's name. Was my friend's brother's sister's name. So that's where you got the name from. But and also Jim Beats, and the fact that you can remember exactly every name and every individual thing leading up to that point, yes, I can. I only have to remember back to that specific year, and I can remember everything about it. Oh, and I believe I also said, where was it? I believe I said, okay, no, I can't find it right now, but I know I did say it, I believe. Oh, right here. I can also explain, I said who I actually, but I meant to say who I actually am. My true name, as I said, is Marcus E. Sellis. I am not from this world. I am not from the human world. As I've mentioned, I come from a place either called the First World or the Forgotten World. And as I explained already, I was the first being to leave the void and I created my own spiritual body with just a single thought, and then created everything else. But and then I can tell you more history, that obviously more unrecorded history. Where is it? Yep. All of the Indian gods people worship, Hindu gods, whatever, the Mexican gods, the Egyptian gods, Ra. Oh, here's a very, very good one too. Thoth. The Egyptian god, I believe it was either of knowledge or of life. I might be mistaken on that one. But it's either knowledge or life, I think. He was, when he was a regular human, well, he was very, very spiritually powerful. How do I put that? He gained my respect, and it's very difficult to do that, because for you to gain my respect, you either need to, when I challenge you to a duel, to a sparring session, but with actual swords, and if I put you in a position to deliver a fatal blow, or you do the same to me, the match is done, and you gain my respect. But it's not like a simple 5-minute thing. Those duels that I have done last for days. Like, the longest duel I believe I had actually was Thoth, and it lasted 3 months straight. No taking a break, no drinking water, no nothing like that. Lasted 3 months straight. And obviously I could have beaten him if I actually wanted to, but I wanted to see how powerful he was. And even after 2.5 months, he was not tiring. I was not tiring either, but he was very impressive. Okay, where was I? And also, the Greek gods, Zeus, Poseidon, Hermes, Hephaestus, all of them, they were not created by the being that humans call God, or Volmic. They were created... Okay, so here's where it gets confusing. Well, I'll try to explain it. There are different levels of divinity. At the bottom, you have the lowest level of God you can get, which Zenthor is one higher. There is a half god. Similar to, from the God of War games, Kratos, he became a god of war, whatever. But Zeus himself was not a full god. Zeus was half god. The only one of the Olympian gods who is actually just a basic regular god was Poseidon. Poseidon was actually stronger than Zeus. But because Zeus was considered the father of the gods and the chief god, Poseidon just left him to it. But Poseidon could have very easily taken over as the father of the gods. But anywho, okay, so I'll get back to those books. Again, I don't know the names of them, but okay, I'll tell you several of the books of the Library of Alexandria that I have in my spiritual possession. I'll name, let's just do 6 books. 6 books. First book, literally called The Art of Fighting. No, it's not a Japanese or Chinese book. It's literally called The Art of Fighting. And the second book literally looked like a cookbook. For some reason, it looked like a cookbook. But it literally was named Killer. But that's not the full name. You actually had to use a special liquid. If you wiped it on the book underneath Killer, it would show the rest of the name. Killer of the Library. And that specific book said and told who was going to actually, the person responsible for destroying the library. Yes, that book was written by someone, not by me, but was written by someone that saw the future and knew that the library was going to get destroyed. The third book, literally about the past, and true to its name, it told about the past up until, this book about the past, you needed to read in reverse. You couldn't read it from front to back. You need to read it from back to front, similar to a manga book. You needed to read it from back to front, because if you didn't, it would not make any sense. It literally mentioned the past and leading up to when the library got destroyed. Similar to the future book of when it was going to get destroyed, the past led up to when it got destroyed. But it didn't just do that. It told about the beginning of it. It started at the beginning of mankind. Literally, the few words said, "This is the beginning of mankind." And then it wrote out. But yeah. Fourth book. Just, the fifth book is going to be, I believe I said 6 books. The fifth book is going to be very, very interesting. The fourth book, though, about time itself. Now, this book, it actually had the power, if you knew how to say the words correctly, and if you knew how to say the words correctly, and you used the correct phrases and the correct pauses in the correct spots, you could see into the past and you could see into the future. But here's the scary part about it. If you say the phrases correctly, but you miss one of the pauses, the book will warp you into a random place, into a random dimension, random area of time, and you're dead instantly. It could also warp you forwards again, and it could also just kill you right there, just like boom, and you turn into red mist. But then I don't know if I said the 5th book already. Yeah, that was the 5th book. The 6th book. This was a book that I actually wrote. It took a very long time. It took multiple lives. It took about 5 lives of me living to age 90, I believe it was 96, to finish this book. And I was trying to make a story of my life, of where I came from, how I was, how being pretty much a human affected me, impacted me, and it was literally called My Life. That was the name of the book. But as I said, I was born I chose to get reincarnated into a human body in the human year 400,000 BC. And because I still had access to my powers and abilities, I had immortality. I had true immortality. I could not be killed no matter what the hell happened to me. But I decided to slightly limit myself so that, so I wasn't, depicted or, not researched, depicted, or I wasn't depicted as a god or some type of divine being, which I did not want to be one of those. No. But to tell you the truth, when I had my immortality, I lived for about a little over 100,000 years with my true immortality before I decided to temporarily get rid of it so I could feel what it was like to die, because I was very curious. So I died and I was like, oh, this what it feels like to die. And also, I also killed a lot of people. And every person that I killed, they were not innocent. They were not innocent at all. I can tell you the exact number of people that I have killed. I have killed, and again, these people were not innocent and they were deserving to die for what they've done. I have killed 65,350,227 people in all of my past lives. Not this one or my last one before this one. I stopped killing people that were deserving of it, and people who tried to kill me first. It's as simple as that. I stopped killing people in the human year 1806. And then yeah. And as I said as well, obviously this is not going to, explain pretty much. Hopefully it explained a little bit of it. But as I told Jim Beats, even if I make a video that would explain several years of history that was not recorded by humans, that would take 300 plus videos, and those videos would be 24 hours long each. And it's true, they would be. But yeah, so this video is already gonna be about 35 minutes long. So to Jim Beats and Alvin, if you want me to make another video to explain it, I can. But I have videos on my YouTube channel called Immortal Life, I believe. And what I mean by that, I mean my soul and mind are immortal, not my physical body. I can die anytime. So yeah, hopefully this video explains some things that I could not within writing, because I find this very funny. Being around humans for, since the beginning of humanity, I still have no idea what it's like to be truly human. And yeah. Well, yeah, as I said, I'm going to end this video at 35 minutes So hopefully this explains some things, and if not, I'll make another video. Goodbye.